Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. Overcrowding, homelessness, and houses in dire need of repairs. Those are the conditions some residents face in Lutzelk'e Northwest Territories. And they say it's all taking a toll on their health. The CBC's Tamara Merritt reports.
We smell a stench, hey?
This is Marie Catholic's rental home.
So this is it. So I have some traps there, so just be careful. And this is what I'm dealing with. See all this? They patched it up maybe 4 months ago, but it's still breaking again over here. And yeah, there's always that wood, but that's squirrel poop. So that is squirrel poop.
Catholic wants her home to be condemned. She says it's a public housing unit located in Lutzelk'e that's been overrun by rodents, is growing mold, and broken windows and holes in the wall make it difficult to heat in the winter and keep animals out. These living conditions have been taking a toll on her mental and physical health.
I'm shocked. You know, as I go through it, I cry. I just when is it going to end? When are we actually going to be enjoying our lives with our family, with our grandchild, without having to know that we're not going to get sick?
The state of housing for many in Lutzelk'e is bleak. Many community members pointed to overcrowding and homelessness, as well as rundown homes. Emily Saunders has been trying to get repairs for her public housing unit, but she hasn't been successful, and the repairs haven't been up to her standards.
The tiles just start peeling. So I did go after the housing and ask them if they can change my tiles for me. Now, the maintenance man came back and said, I can glue them back for you. I said, no. I said, put something new in there. And he said, no, I'm sorry, not at this time. We can't do it. So what do? You know? We can't do nothing.
Housing NWT says maintenance is ongoing over the year, but the problems needing specialized solutions, like with plumbing or rodents, are more difficult to handle. It says there's a process to get that work done.
The local housing office does an assessment to verify what the tenant is telling them. Then they would, even if they don't have capacity to deal with the full scope of the issue, they would put in place some preventative measures.
The next step is contacting Housing NWT's district office. Daoudou says staff are in the community this week to hear tenants' concerns. Tamara Merritt, CBC News, Lutzelk'e.
Partners of the Thai-Dene protected area are celebrating their relationship plan this week. The community of Lutzelk'e hosted the celebration on Wednesday afternoon. The relationship plan is in place of a typical management plan. It establishes a long-term vision to protect the land, water, wildlife, and cultural sites. It also acts as a guide for both visitors and stewards of the area to build relationships with the land and each other.
While Thai-Dene Badiha is something new, it's a path-breaking model for collaborative stewardship. It is grounded in old ways. It's grounded in relationships, in respect, in care, in collaboration, and in ceremony.
The plan also defines the boundaries within the protected area that are off limits to visitors. Visitors are welcome to the protected area. They're asked to register with Parks Canada and check other rules and regulations before entering. The government of Nunavut is recommending a 10-fold increase on the caribou harvest on Baffin Island. Officials and hunters say that's because the population has rebounded after a decade of strict controls on harvesting. Samuel Watt reports.
In the Nunavut legislature Monday, the Environment Minister was coy about whether he wants to drastically increase the Baffin Island caribou harvest quota. Right now, it's set at 550. Brian Kunu's department is recommending that go up to 6,000. That's roughly 12% of the estimated population.
For the record, can the minister confirm that this is what his department is formally recommending to the Wildlife Management Board? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
After their meeting, they'll be able to give their recommendation to the cabinet.
Kunu is referring to the board's meetings in Gingite set for late June. The recommendations stem from a dramatic recovery in caribou numbers. A December government research paper says that's largely due to a sharp decline in harvest. A moratorium on hunting was introduced in 2015, followed by strict quotas. The paper proposed a new limit of roughly 2,300, representing 5% of the estimated population. But then they met with hunters and elders in February. Many cited past harvest levels were much higher and they're worried about growing food insecurity. Meanwhile, officials warned the risks of increasing the quota too quickly because of issues like the lack of conservation officers, the need for continued monitoring, and the impacts of mining and industrial development. They came to a compromise. Now it's up to the Wildlife Management Board to meet and respond to recommendations.
If my cabinet can meet early as possible, perhaps in July, then we would like to be able to have a decision on the recommendation.
And hopefully in time for most of the 2026 harvest season. Samuel Watt, CBC News, Yellowknife.
A Nunavut fishery sold 700 kilograms of fish from Clyde River to a business in BC earlier this spring. The sale allowed the Vancouver-based seafood company to sell turbot to its clients for the first time. As the CBC's Leanie Lambring tells us, both parties hope to do business with each other again.
Fish after fish after fish. This haul north of Clyde River was big enough that a southern business was able to buy half of it from Nickatak Fisheries. One of the harvesters involved says it was one of the best fishing trips he's been on.
We caught 432 fish for maybe 6 sets of longliners. It went well.
Vancouver-based seafood company Skipper Otto bought the turbot. Will Hindman helped connect the two enterprises. He's the director of Nunavut Fisheries, which helps harvesters sell their fish outside their communities.
The most amazing winter fishermen and hunters, they have unique skill sets in actually getting the fish to the community. But the next step, like actually accessing markets in Nunavut and in the south, is just a whole different skill set. And it's one that we've been trying to develop ourselves and to kind of help get them over the hump so that they can access markets and sort of build their livelihood.
Skipper Otto runs a subscription-style program for Canadian seafood. It has about 7,000 customers across the southern swath of the country. It's purchased Arctic char from Nunavut communities before. Skipper Otto's co-founder and CEO says this was the first time turbot was on the menu. She hopes the partnership continues.
There's such abundant, wonderful seafood there. There's so much traditional learning that gets passed on generation to generation wherever you're fishing. And so protecting a traditional fishing way of life in all of our fishing communities is core to what we do at Skipper Otto.
Kautuk hopes the partnership with Skipper Otto will continue too. He says selling fish to the south will help Clyde River make the case for a fish processing plant in the future. He says that would mean more jobs in his community. Leanie Lambring, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Tucked into permafrost on Trondakwetchin land in the Yukon, ancient archivists unintentionally preserved a treasure trove of information. And the source of that information is just as remarkable as what scientists can do with it. It all comes from ancient ground squirrel poop pellets. In a new study, scientists were able to reconstruct the genomes of woolly mammoths, horses, and steppe bison using DNA found in those pellets. I spoke earlier to one of the authors of the study to find out more. Grant, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, squirrel poop, who knew?
Yeah, squirrel poop. It's amazing what you can learn from the back end of a squirrel.
I mean, there seemed like there were a lot of pretty big discoveries from this ancient ground squirrel droppings. So what are some of the biggest ones that this study made?
Well, I think it's just a remarkable phenomena that these Arctic ground squirrels that we know today from places like the Yukon and Northwest Territories across northern Canada. They run around the tundra. They generally collect plants and eat plants, and they bring those plants back down underground into their burrows. But we've also learned that these squirrels were actually scavenging and eating a lot of meat. So we know from some of the DNA that was examined from these Arctic ground squirrel poop pellets that they were running around and scavenging on the carcasses of things like mammoths and giant bison and horses during the Ice Age. And that's something that we were very excited to discover, something we didn't expect at all, because generally Arctic ground squirrels in the Arctic today are herbivorous. They eat plants, but to discover that they were actually eating a lot of meat is very exciting, and it preserves these amazing archives of ancient animals and plants that lived hundreds of thousands of years ago in the Yukon.
What were you able to do because of the ancient ground squirrels' plentiful diet?
Well, you know, this work goes back a long time. Myself and my colleagues, Dwayne Fraze from the University of Alberta, we've been studying these ancient Arctic ground squirrels actually for decades. I did my PhD work on these ancient Arctic ground squirrels over 20 years ago, and it's really neat because in the permafrost that are exposed at these gold mining sites near Dawson City in the Trondic-Wichin traditional territory, we see these. We see these nests of Arctic ground squirrels frozen in the permafrost at all kinds of sites, and we knew that it'd be really they preserve these amazing environmental archives. So we originally started off collecting these nests and kind of picking them apart and examining the plants and other things we find in a nest, and then we got the idea to connect with our genetics colleagues at McMaster University and the Hakai Institute, and they started looking at the squirrel poops. We thought we have all these poop pellets that are found in these ancient nests. So let's have a look at them and see what we can learn from them. And then by picking these little squirrel pellets apart and looking at the DNA, we're getting this incredible archive of all the different plants they ate, the animals they scavenged, going back over 700,000 years. And some of this is the oldest ancient DNA in the world. So we have ancient mammoth DNA that goes back 700,000 years ago in North America. That's the oldest mammoth DNA in North America. We also have evidence for basically an extinct lineage of Arctic ground squirrels. So we had presumed that from these nests and these poop pellets that they were the same species that we have today in the Arctic. But we learned genetically that these actually are an extinct group that's only found in Asia today. So showing these connections between Arctic ground squirrel populations hundreds of thousands of years ago between Asia and North America. So we've learned a lot about how these Arctic ground squirrels live, some of their Arctic adaptations, and how they've lived over the last 700,000 years.
It's just incredible. What is it about the ground squirrel poop that is so good at preserving DNA?
Well, I think the main thing is that Arctic ground squirrels are these incredible collectors of the local environment. Not only do they eat a lot of different plants that are in their environment, they store them underground. So we know that during the summers, Arctic ground squirrels are hibernating for almost 8 months a year. So those 4 months of their active season, they're super busy. They're out there running around the tundra, collecting plants and eating plants, scavenging on animals that are dead on the tundra. So they're doing all kinds of things. So these squirrel pellets are really quite the archives, because Arctic ground squirrels are really big collectors, and they really what's found in their poop is a really good representation of the local environment. These Arctic ground squirrels have actually taught us very, very much about ancient environmental change, just because they're an animal that goes out and collects everything and eats a lot of different things, and we get that preserved within these archives in the permafrost. And permafrost is just a remarkable situation for preserving these environmental archives, and so we can reconstruct how environments have changed through times, how these different animals have evolved, and how their populations have changed through time. So by learning and looking at these ancient environmental changes, it can give us some ideas of how some of these environments may be affected by contemporary permafrost melting and climate change and global warming. So it's a way to sort of look at these changes that are happening in the present day and put them in historical context.
We'll leave it there for today. Thank you so much, Grant, for this conversation. It's really fascinating, and I can't wait to see what you find next in the permafrost.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Depending on your vintage, you may recognize those telltale harmonics of two fax machines connecting. Fax machines, of course, aren't exactly new technology, and they are susceptible to privacy breaches. Few people use them today, but the NWT healthcare system still relies on them, and the health minister says that's not about to change. The CBC's Devin Tradinick explains why.
I'm here at the CBC office in Yellowknife. Beside me here is our fax machine. We almost never use this thing, so why is it such a lifeline in other parts of the Northwest Territories? In the Northwest Territories, fax machines are a staple in the health system, but not everyone's a fan.
Faxing is expected to continue to play a role for the foreseeable future, particularly where connectivity and limitation exists. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I tried.
Historically, fax machines have been the perpetrator of privacy breaches, with people's medical records being faxed right here in this newsroom. In 2012, the health center in Fort Providence sent personal medical information to the newsroom fax machine. In May of 2010, health officials in Norman Wells sent pages of blood test and pap test results to the same fax machine, and a month later, someone faxed a patient's prescription records to the CBC's Yellowknife newsroom. Human error was cited as the reason for those mistakes. One privacy expert says it's not much of a surprise.
They are a big source of privacy breaches, but the use of faxes, unfortunately, is so commonplace.
Magnadova says moving on from fax machines is by no means easy. She's based in Ontario, a province that's also been trying to cut ties with faxing, but it's a hard relationship to leave. For example, say a government wanted to switch to an online portal system. Well, that can take time, it's costly, and it comes with its own set of potential problems around cybersecurity. Magnadova also says it would have to be a universal switch across various organizations, as a person's medical records or case notes might be kept across different systems.
And it's very hard to find a unified system or unified approach to sending referrals or case notes or what have you to other recipients, other clinicians. And so fax, because everyone's just kind of gotten used to it, everybody has a fax machine for the most part.
So why then does the government of the Northwest Territories still use fax machines? Well, earlier this month we asked just that. In an email, a spokesperson says that healthcare across both the country and the territory is decentralized. It says hospitals, clinics, and pharmacies all have different ways of keeping a person's medical records, and those ways don't always communicate with each other. That's where faxing comes in. The department calls it a universal backup or bridge that ensures important information like referrals, lab results, or prescriptions can still be sent and received no matter what. There are rules in place to protect patient privacy. Safeguards like mandatory privacy training, which includes how to handle faxes, or using a cover sheet with a confidentiality notice and sender-receiver information, and of course verifying the fax number before sending it to prevent errors. Those procedures are meant to cut down on the chances of a privacy breach. That said, the territory is trying to reduce its reliance on faxing. It realizes the tech is outdated and it's looking for more modern and practical solutions. So for now, faxing exists not because it's preferred, but because it's practical. Devin Tradinick, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Technology being developed for the moon could one day power communities in Nunavut. A Canadian company says its work on compact nuclear power systems could also strengthen Arctic infrastructure and sovereignty. The Canadian Space Agency gave $1 million to the Canadian Strategic Missions Corporation this week. Part of that funding will support research into power systems for future lunar missions. The company says the same technology could replace diesel generators in remote northern communities.
Right now, the communities in the north are constrained in terms of growth because there is not an ability to bring up more diesel generators. So we see benefits in terms of environmental benefits, healthcare benefits, as well as economic opportunities.
Sachs says the technology could generate up to 10 megawatts of a community's power. In a report from March of this year, StatsCan estimates that Nunavut currently has the capacity to generate about 62 megawatts for the entire territory. The technology is still under development and it's expected to hit the market in 2030. A Yukon First Nation is taking steps to revitalize the use of the Tlingit language. The Carcross Tagish First Nation will host a language camp in July to work on reviving the language. And there's also a plan to create an app for learners. The nation's language coordinator says it's important for people to know where they come from.
When you're speaking your language, it's an identity of who you are, and if you don't have that language within you, I think most people kind of feel like something is missing in their life. If they don't have their language and culture in their life, I think that's a big, I think like lots of young people, they're like on the internet and they're losing so much because they're not actually involved in their language. And I think it's a big loss actually to the future generation, for the children here actually, because they won't have that language and culture around them and they won't know who they are.
Nation's last 3 fluent Tlingit speakers died around the time of the pandemic. Carcross Tagish First Nation will also be taking part in a project that'll translate 20 Robert Munch books in partnership with Yukon First Nations. We first told you about that project last week. Nearly 20 Inuit youth from across the country are learning the basics of media production. They're involved in a free program based in Ottawa and Iqaluit. Liam Baker has that story.
It's about if Nuliayuk, the sea goddess, if she had a baby and she decided to mentor it to become the next god, what would that look like for her daughter?
Ancient sea goddesses are just one of the topics being discussed at Tiguluvut, a program by the Inuit Broadcasting Corporation, teaching Inuit youth the ins and outs of media production. The final project of the 2-month free program has students cutting their own short films. But not all the students are focusing on ancient beliefs.
We have docuseries following traditional practices or that are more educational. We have horror dramas, we have comedies pitched here. We have what you think maybe 18 to 25-year-old young creators are into.
The wide range of ideas reflects the geographical diversity of the program. The 17 Inuit youth come from every corner of Inuit Nunangat.
It's really nice and super empowering being within a group of Inuit from all over who have similar or different experiences where you can relate and create some type of bond that you kind of don't find anywhere else.
Students spent the first week learning how to script and put together story pitches. Students will then move on to filming and video and audio editing.
It's nice having someone that's had experience in this background, just telling us like different key details to make sure your script is like on point and like has everything in fine detail.
The program wraps up in Ottawa in mid-July. Students will then head to Iqaluit for the final 2 weeks to finish their projects. For some, the trip up north is the cherry on top.
I haven't had the privilege of being up north at all in my whole life, so this will be very exciting that my first time being back on the homeland is to create a short film about something that I'm very passionate about.
It's not clear where the students will take their new skills, but they say the program is a stepping stone towards getting more Inuit to tell Inuit stories. Liam Baker, CBC News, Ottawa.
Students from École William MacDonald Middle School shared their creative ideas for Yellowknife's future at City Council. Using the city's planning bylaws, they crafted infill and greenfield development plans as part of a school project, and they then presented their ideas to City Council yesterday. Adi Kapoor has more.
In a hands-on school project to shape Yellowknife's landscape, 25 grade 7 students from École William MacDonald Middle School worked in 5 teams to design development plans for different parts of the city. These parcels of land are ones that the city plans to develop in the near future. Students started working on their projects in January of this year.
We put in a lot of 23 townhomes and 10 single-dwelling homes because we hear a lot in the news about how housing is a problem in the NWT. It's really fun, coloring it in and having the idea of doing it. But it was difficult, calculating the measures on either side of all of the houses and the roads.
Azzy Baressa says she was surprised to learn that city planning was an actual job.
I didn't know that there were people who actually did this job. I thought people just bought the lots and then they just did whatever they wanted with it. I didn't even know that they had to have a certain measure around the distance of someone's property. For townhomes, it's smaller than in a single dwelling. It's pretty cool.
Their instructor says students discovered a whole new side to civic planning.
I think what surprised them the most was the cost of things. Like Chelsea provided numbers for the cost of roads, and it's thousands of dollars per meter of road. Blasting also, I think just the sheer cost of things was really impressive to them, I think. And it was a surprise to me too, and it's more and more, I think, known that we do need more housing in Yellowknife. Like there's a shortage, so we do need to develop.
Potra says the city helped to make the project possible and that student feedback was positive.
When you folks were designing these, did you think about where the rocks are, kind of the topography of the location? See, nodding heads. Okay, great. Yes, because that sometimes dictates where things go, not necessarily where lot lines are. So that answers my question.
The city's planning director has been working with the students for months. She says the students have been engaged throughout the process.
They've been very creative and been able to connect their ideas to the community that they actually live in. And I think that they presented well to council, and they got their ideas across, and they were also able to answer the questions from council, which maybe were a little hard-hitting for them, but they did a really good job.
White adds she was surprised to see that all themes projects had green spaces or recreational areas. She says she would love to have students participate again. Adi Kapoor, CBC News, Yellowknife.
And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. We leave you tonight with video of the National Band of the Naval Reserve performing yesterday in Carcross, Yukon. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.